Westonia is perhaps one of the more surprising towns in the wheat belt of Western Australia. Although it dates from early in the 20th century, it looks new, clean, and very attractive. There are none of the old solid stone historic buildings one would expect to see in a town of its age, but it still manages to have the feeling of a town right out of the 1920s. In fact, the town looks more like a 1920s movie set than a real town, but real it certainly is. The redevelopment of Wolfram Street came about as a way to revitalise what was at the time a slowly dying town. The buildings all received facelifts and new amenities were added to the town, such as a caravan park and swimming pool. The idea was to bring more visitors to town, and that has certainly been very successful. Westonia sits on the border between the wheat belt and the goldfields, almost exactly halfway from Perth to Kalgoorlie. It's a charming little town and reflects the pride the residents obviously have in it. Gold was discovered here in 1910 by Alfred David Weston, and this created a gold rush to the area in the early part of the 1900s. A month after Weston lodged his application for release, Edmund Annear applied for release at Budallan Soak that he named Edna May after an aunt. Initially known as Weston's Reward, the town site was surveyed in 1913, and a year later the name was changed to Westonia. A road board was established in 1916, but it wasn't until 1926 that the town was finally gazetted. Two main mines were operating by 1915, and by 1917 the town had a population of over 2,000 people. Low gold prices meant the closure of mines in 1919, and many people drifted away to find work elsewhere. In 1935, one of the mines reopened, but closed again in 1948, only to be reopened in 1985 and closed again in 1991. In mid-2009, it was announced that mining would once again commence at Westonia's Edna May gold mine. Operations have continued since then, and the town benefits from both the presence of the mine and the surrounding agricultural area. One of the main attractions in town is the Hood Pen Museum. Unlike other local museums, where the exhibits are mostly displayed on somewhat uninspirational shelves, this museum has set up displays with remarkably lifelike figures that depict a local store, a garage, a lady's bedroom, dining room, and even a hotel bar. The result of this are exhibits that you can really relate to. There is a nice collection of glass bottles, which is very attractive, and there's even an underground blast simulator that will give you the feel of what it's like to experience this as a miner. The museum came about after a generous donation of many historical items by the Hood Pen family, after whom the museum is named. St Luke's Church has an interesting history, as it was originally built in 1916 at a railway siding near Cocklebiddy called Naretha. When the workers at Naretha finished their work and moved on, the church was dismantled and taken to Kalgoorlie. In 1918, it was sent to its final home in Westonia. The weatherboard and tin style of this church were typical of the construction of these buildings in the goldfields at the time. The area around the church is available as a 48-hour rest stop for fully contained motorhomes and RVs. There is a lookout at nearby Edna May mine, where visitors can go and watch the mining operations. Large dump trucks wend their way up and down the access roads, carrying tons of hopefully gold-bearing ore. Further from town, you'll find many more places to explore, such as Bodallin's Soak. This is located 6 kilometres west of town. Charles Cook Hunt established one of his line of wells here, and these helped prospectors to get to the goldfields. Apparently Moondiye Joe was recaptured here during his attempt to walk to the eastern states. 10 kilometres northeast of Westonia is Sandford Rocks Nature Reserve. This area covers 806 hectares. There are granite outcrops, pools and bushland, and there's a 1 kilometre walk trail, and you can collect a brochure for this at the Westonia Shire office. Ballaghy Rock is 42 kilometres northeast of Westonia and the home of the ornate dragon lizard. There are good camping sites here and great views from the rock out over a nearby lake. Yenimooning Hill Reserve is 75 kilometres north of Westonia and is a good place to find various species of birds. It's also home to Patricia's spider orchid. Chittacooping Reserve is 50 kilometres north of Westonia and has a number of rocky outcrops. Here you'll find rare native bottlebrush species and also cowslip orchids. Further out, 100 kilometres north of Westonia, is Elackbutting Rock. It's surrounded by a 466 hectare reserve and includes a rock formation that's very similar to the more famous Wave Rock at Hyden. It's also home to a wide range of bird and animal life. Most of these reserves are best visited in springtime when they are alive with wildflowers. There is a good campsite available at Elackbutting Rock.